right, now to the issue of business experience. Let's bring in Kansas Republican Senator Roger Marshall. He's a doctor with years of business experience, running a practice and a hospital, and is on the Small Business Committee. So let's just put this up on the screen, because this was a pretty interesting report from the Committee to Unleash Prosperity. 62% of Biden appointees who deal with economic policy, regulation, commerce, energy, and finance have virtually no business experience. Only 1 in 8 has extensive business experience, and that average business experience is 2.4 years. You're a business owner for 25 years. You went from 5 employees to more than 300 employees. What do you make of this lack of experience at this crucial time?
Well, John, it looks like the White House has about 0 business experience, with the exception of Hunter Biden's consulting business in the Ukraine and Russia. But what being a business owner taught me and helped prepare me to be a better congressman and senator is to understand how government regulations impact a business and disproportionately impact small businesses. I understand that regulation creates uncertainty. Overregulation creates consolidations of industry, and it hurts the economy. So I think that helps me understand, as I look at legislation going forward, it helps me anticipate some of those unintended consequences.
Senator, I got a flag here. Supporters of the president would push back, right? And they would say, there's plenty of folks here in Washington to represent business interests. The job of a lot of these folks is to steer economic policy. You don't have to have run a business to know what's in the nation's interests. We got plenty of policy wonks. What do you say?
Well, would you want someone running our army that's never been in the military, right? I really do think it's about the economy. All people talk about back home is about inflation. And every economic decision this president has made so far has been wrong. I think it's good to have advisors, but eventually we need a commander-in-chief that understands business. I'm telling you what, that's why people like President Trump, is that people respected his business acumen. Whoever's giving him advice, either he's taking bad advice or he's making bad decisions, he being the president.
When you take a look at people like Jody Powell and Janet Yellen, they missed the cues that inflation was on the way. Janet Yellen said, yeah, we got it wrong. Pete Buttigieg, his answer to high gas prices is go out and buy an electric car. And yet they're the ones who are tasked with...
For as little as $60,000, by the way.
$60,000. Yet they're the ones who are tasked with trying to get this animal under control. Let me go to gas prices, because this is what the president said pretty consistently for months about why gas prices were going up. Listen here.
Today's inflation report confirmed what Americans already know. Putin's price hike is hitting America hard. Food and gas prices are going to be elevated by Putin's price hike. Let me start with the Putin price hike. High gas prices and energy prices. 70% of the increase in inflation was a consequence of Putin's price hike. I'm doing everything within my power by executive orders to bring down the price and address the Putin price hike.
He blamed the price of gasoline and everything else that was following it on Vladimir Putin and the war in Ukraine. That hasn't ended. It's still going on, and yet gasoline prices are coming down. And now the White House is saying, way to go, Joe Biden, you're bringing down the price of gas. What do you say?
Well, John, I was just back home this weekend visiting with some of my classmates, and all they talked about was inflation, inflation, inflation. It's the price of gasoline. So at the pump back home right now, the price of gasoline is still twice of what it was when Joe Biden took over. I grew up in the oil industry. I understand exactly what's going on. This president is creating uncertainty. Going back to that business acumen again, this president's creating uncertainty. He's declared war on the oil and gas industry. So long term, why would you invest $10 million, $100 million in a new oil patch if it's going to take 2 to 5 years to start seeing some return on that investment? We'll take the little short-term gain, but the average Kansas family is still spending $700 a month more on basic necessities of life, and Joe Biden owns it. He cannot fool the American public.
So, Senator, I know you're a solutions-oriented policymaker. Where does the president go from here? What is the nationwide fix for inflation?
Well, I think inflation starts with the energy, right? That it accounts for about 25–30% of the inflation issues start with energy. So our president needs to go to Kansas and visit with the people that drill oil for a living. Is that an
invitation?
It is an invitation. We'd be glad to have him. It's a much shorter trip than all the way to Saudi Arabia. But these folks are afraid to drill because of the lack of certainty. They need some long-term confidence that we're going to be still using oil and gas cars in the future as well. So we need certainty. America can solve the problems right now. Why should we depend upon foreign decisions when we have Americans that can solve the problem?
When foreigners aren't stepping up anyway.
And in fact, a lot of analysts are saying that the reduction in the price of oil now is because of uncertainty about future demand. So nothing to do with, it's got everything to do with high prices, but nothing to do with whatever policy might have come out of the White House. Senator Roger Marshall, good to talk to you. Thank you for coming in.
John, thanks for having me.
Hey, some good news. Fox News